big old dinosaur bone. I want to make sure they right though, cause I'm come down here and check them at 9 and then. So if it, boy, look here, this is tendernism at its best. I'm trying to tell y'all, you better come to Destination Smokehouse Eatery.
The tendernism situation is more complicated than most people realize. Tendernism started as a viral sensation at Destination Smokehouse in California, where ultra-tender smoked meats wowed social media. But controversy erupted after food critic Keith Lee visited, spending nearly $130 and giving the oxtails a high score, while calling out the brisket and ribs for not being as tender as advertised. The real drama began when Lee tried to give a $5,000 tip to Walter Mr. Tendernism Johnson, the face of the movement, but was blocked by security. This fueled backlash, with many questioning if Johnson was being exploited since he isn't the owner. The business responded, insisting Johnson is a valued partner, not just an employee. Still, the debate over credit, ownership, and authenticity continued.
But past oxtail, the standout is not only in my opinion is it extremely hard to get people engaged like that, to show your true personality, to be yourself, no matter how fast things take off in the space. I don't think he intended for it to go the way it's going. I think he just wants to show his love of food and his love of what it is that he's doing. I'm personally taking $5,000 out of my own bank, and we going to say happy holidays to
Oxtail first, my brother's favorite. Let's see. All right.
Come on, man.
Hold on. Let me see. Am I doing it right, Walt?
Man, look at here, man. Don't be trying to mess my cocktail.
See, see,
man,
my bad.
That's cold blood. Look,
Hey.
that's cold blood. See,
It came off.
I
Let's
ain't
see what
worried
it tastes
about
like,
that.
though. Hold on. It's got to taste good.
Wait a minute.
Tendernism isn't about it being tender. It's got to taste good, too. That's what tendernism means.
I'm breathing your spell.
Tendernism. Is it worse than we think? Most people think this is about a viral barbecue restaurant. But then when Keith Lee visits Destination Smokehouse, he desires to leave a $4,000 tip. The phrase tendernism is where my biggest issue is. What happens here is a real story about getting your paperwork in order. You know, because the paperwork and the genius of so many black talented people, whether they be chefs, grill masters, or spokespersons. You know, Walt from Tendernism is just like Diddy in the Ciroc deal. Do any of us know what Ciroc is without Diddy's involvement? I know Diddy is controversial right now, but do we know anything about Ciroc if Diddy doesn't shove it in our face? It's a bad turn of phrase right now. Pause. But you know, this tendernism situation, the thing that really sticks out to me is that this situation involves legal ownership. And as a business person, I start to see intellectual property, because the phrase in itself, tendernism, you can forget about the $4,000 tip that Keith Lee was planning to leave Walter. Keith Lee's presence brings this all to our attention, that maybe Walter could potentially be taken advantage of. Mr. Tendernism himself. So all this starts because I came across a video of a gentleman that actually months ago in September filed a trademark application for the word tendernism.
What's up, guys? I'm Aaron Sharp. I'm the founder of Mando. I am not an attorney, but I am a business owner that has multiple registered trademarks with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And it looks like our friend Walt over at Destination Smokehouse has somebody that is probably trying to pull a fast one. They've applied for the trademark tendernism. I'm going to go to USPTO, trademark search, and I'm going to search tendernism. All right, we have 1 live pending, 2 live pending, and those are the only 2 that look to be relevant. As you can see, the owner says Kenneth L. Harris, individual. Now, we all know that the tendernism guy's name is Walt. Unless this guy, Kenneth Harris, is Walt, it looks like somebody snatched it from underneath him. So the way we can check that is I'm going to go to Documents. I'm going to click on the application. It's going to pull up the application for this trademark. It shows that he's an individual. This is the address he listed. It's showing that he's the attorney of record. I mean, so this attorney basically saw an opportunity to trademark or register this trademark, Tendernism.
He went out of his way. He's a businessman himself. I believe someone said he might be a lawyer. But he wanted to make sure that Walter, Mr. Tendernism, Unc, would be able to benefit from his creation. Because if you hear, he's sort of a wordsmith. He comes up with his own words, and Tendernism is one of those, right? This guy probably thought the exact same thing that I thought. This is potentially worth millions of dollars if used and exploited properly. But instead, what we got here is a rival trademark application comes in. Now, this is where the gray area starts, right? I said in the previous video, we don't know Walter's business in Destination Smokehouse. In fact, in the Willie D interview, it was mentioned that Walter was actually an owner and not an employee. So, but yet and still in some of the videos that I saw in a documentary that was made about it, Walter is seen wearing a shirt that has his position on it, which, as you would guess, it says ambassador. Ambassador is an interesting word to describe what Walter is to Destination Smokehouse. In order to really understand Walter's contribution to this company, you have to kind of go back to the beginning stages of where a coffee shop, a family-owned coffee shop, transitions to a barbecue spot.
Walter was very influential. It was all his idea to do barbecue. Coffee shop was doing okay, but we knew we needed more food.
I say, Nick, man, look here, we gotta do something, man. Let's do some barbecue. Yeah, idea, man, we're gonna try it. I said, let's go to Home Depot and get one of them little grills. We don't need the kitchen, we just need the little grill. And that's how it began.
We did 10 slabs of ribs. He cooked them his way, direct heat. He did, I don't know how many pounds, but a lot of half chickens, and we sold out of both in about like a 4-hour window. And to us, that was a lot. We were really happy.
So yeah, this is complicated, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not accusatory at all, but I just want to examine all the facts and make sure that Walter's best interest is taken care of. I'm not trying to get involved in anything that they're doing. I don't really care that much. But the fact is, we've just seen fights like this happen. You can think about the family of Aunt Jemima or Uncle Ben and how their legacy was etched in time. They were in everybody's kitchen. These black faces on products that otherwise didn't have that name recognition, didn't have that trust. And you can also say, you can look at the Famous Amos dispute. When Famous Amos, at the end of his life, finally reveals that he doesn't own any part of the Famous Amos brand and actually can't even use the Famous Amos logo or name and has to start a whole nother Hawaiian cookie brand. Talk about ridiculous, especially when Famous Amos cookies were still on the shelves. So here we are in 2026 with Walter and the word tendernism. Tendernism, I would say, out of anything in this, is Walter's intellectual property. But unfortunately, it seems that Tendernism is actually owned by Diamond Smokehouse Enterprises, Inc. Corporation in California, the parent company of Destination Smokehouse, the company that he's allegedly an owner of, right? So when we start seeing Tendernism seasoning in the grocery store, Walter should be getting a check, correct? When we start seeing Tendernism all over t-shirts, or Walter's face pops up on something like a box of rice, or what was it? What else did Keith Lee have? A oxtail. If we start having commercial oxtails being put out there and the word tendernism is on it, falling off the bone, Walter should receive a check. The reason I bring this up is because this is something that this isn't just about Walter. This is about his heirs. So when the restaurant files a trademark for Tendernism, many people treat it as a normal business move. So there it is. There's 2 trademarks that are pending for t-shirts, hoodies, and sweaters. And the other one is for online ordering services in the field of restaurant takeout. Okay. The third one is the original filer, Kenneth L. Harris, individual, for shirts, hats, pants, coats, socks, and shoes. Okay. So that's Tendernism. The word Tendernism, which, not to be confused with, what did Keith Lee call it? Tenderism. That's getting on a dating app and not being able to quit. But let's talk about trademarks. A trademark does not just protect a word, it grants control over commercial use. And once you look at the scope of the filing and the timing, this situation becomes much, much more serious. Walter had been using Tendernism for quite a while, as they've been evidenced in video. So he can prove that he is the first one in trade to use this name. So why isn't Tendernism under Walter's name? We have to ask. Some people have brought up the fact that maybe Walter is not in the best position right now to actually have that, and potentially, and this is my good faith, this is hoping for humanity to be right. Hopefully the company becomes a placeholder for Walter to eventually take ownership of the trademark of at least that word, Tendernism, right? It's all over social media. Hopefully Walt isn't in a 360 deal with Destination Smokehouse or Diamond Smokehouse.
If I were the law firm for the restaurant that stepped into Unc's Tenderism limelight, here's the advice I would give you. Number 1, I'd take whatever copyright or trademark I did for the word Tenderism and I'd publicly give it to Unc and for real give it to him. Secondly, that $5,000 that he missed out on, I'd come out of my pocket and give it to Unc. Third, I would come straight up and say, this is my apology for getting out of line. Some people need to realize that they background singers and not lead singers, and then enjoy being within the realm of somebody who is anointed a lot more than you are. But you know, I only been in media for 40-something years, so maybe I don't know nothing.
It's tied to his brand identity. It's audience engagement. You know, this activity is documented and timestamped on TikTok, on YouTube. So after Keith Lee's visit brings national exposure, the restaurant owners filed that trademark. So though these filings only cover a limited framework currently, it also helps them in the future when they want to start licensing or brand partnerships, promotional use, you know, future commercial expansion under the name Tendernism. You know, the filing attempts to secure an exclusive authority over an identity that has already been publicly developed. And that's why it's important to get these things squared away and have your business affairs in order. Where are Walter's children right now? That's what I would really like to know. If he has any children or family members, I would like them to know that they are potentially going to make a bag off of this. But a lot of people in the comments I saw were saying, well, this business existed before. This is this guy's family business. Sure. But a lot of the content online here, and especially the documentary I saw on YouTube, they show that Walter contributed far more than a slogan. He shaped that brand's identity. He also taught the owner, Nick, how to cook barbecue, right? He was the first one. He influenced how Destinations was presented online. And that presentation drove attention and customer interest. In trademark law, prior use in commerce carries weight. Sustained promotional use before a filing can establish legitimate ownership claims.
Creators and influencers are not exempt from what I said. Now, I posted this video the other day letting people know the processes in which they should conduct and set up their businesses. And Trademark was at the top of that list because that is supposed to be something that you do at the beginning of your processes. But in a creator's aspect, it is something that you're supposed to do immediately when you see that whatever it is that you created is starting to take off as a trend.
But you know, this situation reflects a broader trend. Businesses increasingly recognize that viral creators generate brand equity. In some cases, creators are allowed to build visibility and momentum. In others, creators are actually able to have an ownership stake in these companies. Think about Prime. Think about Jake Paul and Prime or Logan Paul and Prime. They are owners of this brand and they show it to you anytime they can. I mean, that fight where he got his jaw broken, the whole ring and arena was covered in Prime. But once the value is clear, legal mechanisms are used to capture control. The creator's role is oftentimes reduced after the asset proves profitable, which is what we see potentially happening here with Destination Smokehouse. Destination Smokehouse, a restaurant, could be successful, could not. But if you own the trademark to a phrase, tendernism, and like I said, some of these major companies come to you for licensing, or they want to put Walt's face on a box of anything or a bag of anything in your grocery store to appear at Walmart, we're into millions of dollars, potentially. So it's not just a light collaboration that they're doing here, you know? And I want to believe Nick when he says Walter is like a brother to him, like a father. That when you have a brother in that way that Nick is talking, you take care of him. You take care of him. There can be no questions about that. That's all people are responding to. That's all people are saying. Now, that's not taking away anything from the other wonderful staff that you have, the other grill masters. I see they have one from Brazil. They have one guy that's been there almost from the beginning as well. I think that was Butcher Bill. But even Butcher Bill gets his name from Unc Walter. Walter gave him that name after, I believe it was Silence of the Lambs. He took the name of Buffalo Bill, which I think one of his nicknames was Butcher Bill. That's all I want to see. I want to see that, Nick, you take care of Unc and his generations in this. Your success should also be Unc's success. That's all. That's all people want to see. And forgive the black community for being a bit apprehensive in this, but a lot of times we see exactly this play that looks like it's developing and we just don't want to see it again. But anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. This is Faucette Media.